Okay, so we've learned a lot about analytics and data, and this is just going to be fun and cool, okay? You guys ready? I know what you're thinking. What's this white girl up here talking about Hispanic marketing? What does she know? I bet she doesn't even speak Spanish. Wrong. I was the vice president of research for Univision for 11 years. I know everything there is to know about the Hispanic market, and I'm going to tell it to you today, and it's going to be something that you can take with you, and it's going to be actionable because Ricky's going to go through a process. I'm going to give you some statistics, and at the end, we're going to open it up for some questions, but you're going to leave here with a roadmap to success, to capturing the Hispanic auto. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I switched it from shopper to buyer because these people, they are buyers. So the good news is Ricky's presentation isn't 80 slides this time, so that's really good news. So without further ado, here we go. So we're going to talk a little bit about Hispanic population growth. I know you guys have seen this slide a million times. 53 million Hispanics, 17% of the population of the United States of America. In 10 years, it's going to be 28% of the population of the United States of America. The African American population has been 13% of the United States for the last 30 years. So just to put that in perspective. Okay, here's a crazy number. From the census from 2000 to 2010, the Hispanic population grew 40%. The non-Hispanic white population grew 3%. That's kind of crazy. Now, in the next 20 years, the Hispanic population is going to grow 82%, and the non-Hispanic white population will grow 1%. So we can either just keep marketing to the white guys, right? Or we can look and see what the future of the United States of America looks like. And it looks like this. So I know these are stats, and stats don't always tell the whole story. So I'm going to tell you a story of 3 days that I spent 2 weeks ago. A friend of mine, she bought a condo in Orlando. And she said, Beth, I ran for the board and I didn't win. We got to go to the board meeting and see who these people are that beat me. And I said, okay. So we went to the board meeting of the villas in Orlando, Florida, and this is the board. Maritza Gutierrez, she's a partner in an advertising agency. Scott Shaw, white guy, and Jorge Fuentes, civil engineer. These are your customers, your potential customers. I need you to wipe out whatever perception that you have of Hispanics and think about Hispanics just like this. That's day one. Day two. I was traveling around Atlanta and Nick Holliday's hometown, and I get a text message, did you spend $681 at Babies R Us? No, I did not. So I went to the Bank of America because I wanted to get this money back into my debit. It was a debit card, so I wanted to get it back in my account. And I met Tammy, and I was really upset, so I might have used a Spanish swear word, and boom, it's really Tamara Aparicio. When I used that Spanish slang word, everything changed. Wow. Then she says, I want you to meet the manager, Jose Madrigal. Day two, Hispanics, right? Day three, I take a trip to the Northeast. I'm late for my appointment. I'm driving down the highway, and I get pulled over. And who pulls me over? I don't know his first name, but he's Officer Jimenez, and he's now known as the guy who gave me the ticket. So 3 days, a bunch of different Hispanic people, all professionals, I just wanted to show you because it was just such a weird thing. I was putting this presentation together when I met all these different people, and now I want you to just be really cognizant when you're out in the world and you chatting with somebody and you say, my God, you know what? They're Hispanic. It's just not, you have to expand your perception because a lot has changed in the last 10 years in terms of Hispanics. So, moving on. In terms of a lot of change, I was just talking to somebody over there and they said, yeah, but it's mostly in Miami and Dallas and Los Angeles. Yes, that was the case 20 years ago, but now, as you can see, the fastest growing Hispanic DMAs are Charlotte, North Carolina, Raleigh, Atlanta, Orlando, Fort Myers, Oklahoma City, Seattle, DC, Las Vegas, Kansas City. I've talked to a bunch of dealers in Nashville, Tennessee. They've seen the Hispanic population grow. I have a bunch of dealers out on Long Island that are seeing amazing population growth. The takeaway from this slide is it's not just Dallas, Miami, and LA anymore. It's your market. And if you open yourself up to this, you will be opening yourself up to a brand new potential market of buyers. Salsa has now replaced ketchup as the #1 condiment in the United States of America. More people buy salsa than buy ketchup. It's amazing. Garcia and Rodriguez are now among the top 10 surnames in the United States of America. This is real. This is happening. You can say it's not, but it is. And if you grab onto it right now, right here, and start to implement some of the strategies that we're going to show you, your payoff is going to be enormous. One of the things I didn't mention was that when we're back on the population slide, the Hispanic population, the median age of the Hispanic population is 28 years. The median age of the white non-Hispanic population is 39 years. So there's more of them. They're younger, they're growing up, they're moving up the economic ladder, and they're a great potential opportunity for you. So you're like, yeah, okay, there's a lot of them. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Are they really buying cars? Hispanics bought 1 out of every 4 cars in 2013. Do you guys know what that number is going to look like in 10 years? It's going to double, okay? They're either going to go to your dealership. I'm sorry, what? Oh, this is new. I'm sorry. It's new vehicles. Yep, only new. That number is going to double in the next 10 years. They're going to buy from someone. It might as well be you. And they're actually driving the growth of the automobile industry. So the overall market for new vehicle sales in the US grew 9% overall, while the Hispanic growth was double that at 16%. And it's accelerating because in Q1 of 2014 and Q1 of this year, Hispanic growth of new vehicle sales was 3 times that of the general market. So if you don't think this is really happening, it really is. What do they look for? They look for a deal, just like everybody else. The interesting thing about Hispanics is they will travel a significant amount of miles to a place that they feel welcome. And Ricky's going to go into detail on how to make them feel welcome. If you reach out to them in some way, shape, or form, and I'm going to talk about a couple ways to do that, you will be on their short shopping list. What are their preferred makes and models? Toyota, Honda, and Nissan account for 41% of all sales. This is actually, this is true. However, they are really expanding their different makes. So, this is, I think it's important. Toyota has done a really, really good job of reaching out to Hispanics. I don't know if you guys have done any Spanish Google searches, but you'll see that Toyota is actually actively reaching out in language, in Spanish, to a lot of these vehicle searchers. Interesting fact, Hispanics purchase their vehicles 80% versus lease. Leasing is not something that happens in Latin America. It's not something that happens in Spain. It's not part of their cultural dialogue. So while some younger Hispanics are interested in leasing, you will find that most of them are interested and are going to just purchase their vehicle. How do I reach them? This is my last section before I turn it over to Ricky. So one of the best ways to reach Hispanics is in-language paid search. So what we find is Hispanics tend to do Spanglish type searches, Nuevo Toyota, Quiero Nuevo Toyota. And what we found is if you actually give them a search result in Spanish, in language, it's like asking them to come to my dealership. Please come, I will welcome you with open arms. And that's important to Hispanics. It's more important to Hispanics than you would think. Interesting fact, we got this actually from Google. Auto searches in Spanish grew 24% faster than auto searches in English last year. So, this is definitely a trend that's worth investigating. Spanish cost per clicks are on average 68% lower. That's because no one's doing this. No one is reaching out to Hispanics in their own language. It's really not that hard to do. Another idea, a local festival. Talk to your radio station, talk to your local television station. Are they having a local festival? Can I display a car? Putting a car or even a sponsorship at a local festival that's targeted to Hispanics is going to make them feel welcome. It's going to make them feel like you're asking them for their business, and that is very important to them. You can actually just go onto Google and Google Hispanic event, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. There's a million of these different kinds of events, and they're the cost to get involved is really not that great. Finally, I know you guys have heard this time and time again, but mobile. Mobile is super important. The reason that mobile is so important is because many Hispanics in their home country never connected to desktop. If you think about Colombia, Argentina, Brazil, Nicaragua, Honduras, all these countries that a lot of these Hispanics are from, the wire, the fiber, they never put it down. They leapfrogged to mobile. So because the infrastructure of the country was never there, they all went to mobile. So Hispanics have a natural tendency to use mobile more than they would desktop. It was just never an option for them. Hispanics use text messaging 10% more than non-Hispanics. Hispanics download double the number of pictures to their mobile phone. Hispanics are very into pictures, seeing you, having you personally ask them to come to the dealership, letting them know who they're going to be talking to when they come to the dealership. It's a big deal for a Hispanic. And Hispanics stream double the amount of video every month than a non-Hispanics. So, video is super important, and actually I'm going to pass it over to Ricky right now, and he's going to talk about some of the things that he's done and some of the ways that he's used video really successfully.
Good afternoon, everyone. What did you say, $681 card on your bill?
Babies are us, yep.
Oh, got scared for a moment. That's what me and Todd's bill was last night at the bar. No, I'm just kidding. I don't drink. Talking about Hispanics, one of the most powerful things about Hispanics is we like pictures, we love videos, and, I think the only person in the United States that's more about this than I am as far as process and procedure is probably David Kain. I'm a stickler about that. If you're going to hire and start getting into the Spanish market, the first thing you want to do, hire one or two individuals that speak and write Spanish. And I'll give you an example why. A couple of weeks ago, I had a dealership that called me from Orlando, said, hey, the guys down the street are killing me with, taking all my Spanish customers. What can I do? So I went down there, I set them up. Within 4 days, first I asked him, do you have anybody speak Spanish? Oh, yeah, Pedro speaks Spanish. He said, okay. So I went ahead and set him up. In about 4 days, he got 128 leads, So I called him. I said, man, you're getting all these leads. How you doing? Oh, we're doing great. Well, as well as and I know, when they tell you they're doing great, that means they didn't research. They took somebody's word. So I said, let me go down there and do a follow-up and see. So I go down there, and I talked to the manager, and of course, the managers always know everything that's going on in the dealership, And so I said, well, how are you doing with the internet leads? Oh, we're doing great. We're getting lots of leads. I said, well, do you mind if I go in the back and talk to the internet people? I said, sure. So the first guy I talked to, I said, how are you guys doing with those leads? You're getting a lot of them. The guy says, oh, those things are crap. They're all in Spanish. And I'm saying, I said, really? They're all in Spanish? Wow. I said, well, where's Pete and Pedro that speak Spanish? So I go to him, and I said, you're getting all these leads? Do you have Spanish templates, He says, well, I don't speak Spanish. I said, well, they said you speak Spanish. He says, yeah. I said, hola. That's not Spanish, So I said, okay. So, of course, I went back, and we had to redo the whole thing and everything. And, of course, managers got in trouble. It was a disaster. But the good thing is they got 128 leads in 3 days, which tells you, hey, there's a market here, Couple things that you never have to hear from us. I got to talk to my wife. Buddy, have you guys ever dated or married a Spanish woman? They're like American Express cards. You can't leave home without them. They're always there. So you don't have to worry about them giving you, I got to talk to the wife, because they're going to be there. And if they're not there, we're too proud to say, oh, I got to talk to my wife. That's not going to happen, because we're macho men. We don't do that kind of stuff. As far as the whole party being there, we come with everybody, man. I mean, so sometimes you can sell us 2 cars, So yeah, so come along, But process and procedures, please, if you're going to get into the Spanish market, there's a lot of good agencies out there that are Spanish agencies that can get you Spanish customers as well as employees. Make sure that your templates are in Spanish. The worst thing you can do is send a guy sends an email, and I was very good at what I did because I was a master of reading emails. And when you read emails and you get notes like, oh, that guy only speaks Spanish, and nobody ever answers the guy. Okay, so there's a guy going down the street. As far as being successful, there's a lot of dealerships. There's one in Texas that's across the street. It's a Toyota store across the street from a Honda store. They're doing over 200 deals a month on the internet, just Hispanics customers. And the guy across the street is doing 10. And, so the market is there. The customers are there. I'm going to cut it short because I want you guys to ask questions. And also, if you have any questions, we have a lot of representatives here from the Spanish community. The Latin boxes out here. We got L2 Media. I mean, we got lots of people here that could help you. But please, put a procedure in place when you decide to do this, because you're going to waste a lot of money. And then at the end of the day, you're going to lose a lot of opportunities. And don't train your salespeople on this. Train your managers. Because what happens is that we go in there and we train salespeople, and after we leave, the salesperson goes to the manager, and the manager's, just get them in. I mean, you've heard that one before. It doesn't matter what they said, just get them in here. So make sure when you hire somebody to do this, that they do training to your managers, not your salespeople. And then after you've trained your managers, you can go back there the second time and train the sales individuals. I'm going to open it up, so if you guys have questions for myself or Beth, I don't like to speak too much because I like to have questions and stuff. So
you forgot the last slide's the best slide. Preguntas? Questions? So he asked if I see the growth of concierge services, facilitating relationships between dealers, right? And another interesting thing about Hispanics is a lot of them come from countries where the government was not to be trusted, and they don't like to give out their information in the form of in forms. Plus, they came to a country where the immigration situation isn't, that welcoming, so they don't really like to leave forms. You're much, much more likely to get a phone call. They want to talk to you. They want to talk to you personally. They want to know what your name is. And when they come into the dealership, they're going to say, I spoke to Jose. Where's Jose? I want to talk to Jose. They are not going to fill out a form. It's not part of their cultural dialect. They don't believe that any kind of information. That's why, another interesting point, direct mail doesn't work for Hispanics. It never has, and it never will, okay? They do not like mail that they did not ask for to show up at their doorstep. They don't know who sent it. They don't know how they got on the list. They don't want to be on the list. It's not cool. So, at Univision, Costco came in to see us. They were coming down to Miami, and they wanted to make a big push into the Hispanic market. And they said, we've been trying to send out these membership cards via mail for a year. And I said, it's not going very well, is it? And they said, no, it's going horribly. I go, listen, do not send direct mail to Hispanics. It's not appreciated. It's not part of their cultural dialect. Think about it. A lot of them came from countries where the newspaper was actually run by the government. So they also don't trust newspapers. They say it's mierda. I don't know if you guys know what that means. So newspaper is also something that I wouldn't focus so highly on for Hispanics. They said the government really kind of runs it. They don't come from a lot of countries where there was free press.
And to get back to your question, there's a few companies that are out there now, and there's more coming. One of them is here in the lobby, Latin Box, I believe is the name. They're doing a lot of stuff. They're like an upgraded version of Auto Amigo. Like steroids on Auto Amigo. They've done a good job. Another thing about us, too, is that most Hispanics, when we go out on a Saturday to go look at a car, we already have 2 cars in mind that we're going to buy. The only reason we don't buy those cars, one, we don't trust you. 2, we don't like the car, and 3, we don't like the dealership. So what we're going to do next is go to the next place. And if we don't find that car, we're not the kind of individuals. We enjoy our lives too much. We like to have fun. Saturday is our day that we get to do whatever we got to do because we work Monday through Friday. Most Hispanics on Sundays is church and family day. So you rarely see them in the shop. But if they're there on a Saturday and you lose them, they're not going to come back. So find out what the problem is. Is it the car? Is it the dealership? And I know, we hear this over and over again. One huge thing in Hispanics is video. I used to send Hispanics a video when the lead came in. Besides answering their questions, it was a video that said, hey, I'm Ricky Lopez. I'm going to be the one helping you and your family on your automotive search. Buddy, that's huge. Oh, this guy's sending me a video. This is what I look like. He's going to work with me and my family. That stuff is very powerful when it comes down to Hispanics, So make sure that you got a Hispanic speaking person. It's like us, spending thousands of dollars every month on advertising, and we have no internet people. So when the customer comes in, he gets the old car guy that tries to hammer him for $3,000 off sticker price, And what do you think that guy's going to go? He's going to be down the street buying a car from David Kain Ford dealership because he actually talked to the guy, So, it's like everything else. You got to set a process, you got to put a structure in place, and you got to follow it. All the successful dealerships that I've worked with and that I've worked at, the main thing is a structure and a process. That's always been number one, will always be number one, and it's, like everybody says, longevity, that's a marriage, man. It ain't a car business. So keep those people that you have.
A lot of these people are English capable, and does reaching out to them in language make a difference? And when they do come to the dealership, how important is it to have somebody who speaks Spanish? So here's a great story. I worked at Univision. I was la única gringa. La única gringa. I was the only American person, okay? Everybody else was Hispanic. It was just me. People would come to the front desk and say, la gringa, like that's my name. So we would go to parties at night, and I would take my drink and go from one group of people to the other group of people. Well, when I arrived at that everybody spoke perfect English, okay? Everybody spoke perfect English. I would come to a group of people, and they would be speaking Spanish, but when I got there, they would switch over to English, because that was the nice thing to do. And then I would go to another group of people, and it would happen again. So finally, one day, I'm in the cafeteria, and I'm like, guys, I have to ask, right? You guys all speak perfect English, How come you guys, when you're left to your own devices, choose to go back to Spanish? And they said, because that's our comfort language. That's how we grew up. We know the language, we know the nuances, but we speak perfect English. They're English capable, they're Spanish preferred, and they really appreciate being reached out in their language. So that's the difference. Yes, can they fill out a form? Can they go through the entire financing process in English? Absolutely. But do they appreciate being reached out in their native language where they are the most comfortable and they understand the nuances? Absolutely. If you can't find a Spanish-speaking person, can you find somebody who can kind of fake it? Because that goes a real long way. Just walking up to them and saying, hola, ¿cómo está? And then saying, I'm not that great at Spanish, but I can try. And then they can talk a little English and he can talk a little Spanish. It's just about making the effort. Doing paid search in Spanish, it's not that expensive, but you're making an effort. And all of a sudden you're going to start, and one of the things that Ricky talked about was this Cuban Google thing. Once one family knows that there's advertising in Spanish, everybody's going to know. And there's not, on a Saturday when you see a Hispanic family, it's not 2 people, it's not 4 people, it's 8 people. It's the sister, the mother, the abuela, the uncle. So you're really able to reach so many people with just such a small kind of an effort.
Yeah, don't waste your time asking us for a review, because we're going to give them to you anyways. I mean, as soon as we leave, we might even call you an hour later because we got in an accident trying to text everybody how great this vehicle is. So you might get 2 car deals out of it. You never know. But yeah, don't bother, asking us for reviews, because I'm telling you, and I was telling Beth the other day, I think the guy that came up with Google either probably married or probably dated a Spanish woman, because if you ever met their family, my God, everybody gossips about everything, which means that, hey, that's a great idea. Let's do that. So yeah, don't worry about reviews with us. We're going to give you plenty of reviews. We're going to tell everybody about you. And like I said, videos, templates. Make sure that you got Spanish templates, and the templates, make them short and sweet, answer their questions. Don't send us love letters. I mean, those things drive everybody nuts. When they ask you for how, if the car there and it's got a third row seat, and this you could do in Spanish or English. If a guy emails you and wants to know if the car's there and it's got a third row seat and it's in green, answer his question. Don't send him a bunch of stuff that tells him how great you are, how you got all these reviews, and because people don't care. They want you to answer their questions and they want you to help them out. That stuff comes at the end when he's competing you with 2 other dealerships. Then you can tell him about your reviews. But if you give him all the ammunition up front, first of all, he's not going to email you back. If you send me a love letter when I send you asking you a question, you'll lose me. Make it short and simple. Boom, and it works both ways for Hispanics and anybody other cultures. So.
If you're going to be buying Spanish keywords, is it important to take them to a Spanish version of the website? And I believe the answer is no, but I believe that all you would really need to do is put on your website, hablamos español, right? They just want the smallest little inkling that you want to do business with them. They're completely English capable, like we already chatted about. They go through their life, they have a job, Tamara Aparicio and all those guys on the board and Officer Jimenez who gave me a ticket. They're all out there living their lives, doing things. But when you're asked in your language, it makes a big difference.
And so that's of you have chat in Spanish on your websites? There's one. We love you. See? It's true. I mean, if I go to a website and I get those annoying pop-in chats and I have one that says for Spanish click here, for English click there. That's pretty cool, because I'm going to click the Spanish and then I'm talking to you back and forth in Spanish. But look at it, everybody in here, only one person has it, So. Also, you think it's not true then. No, but it's just thinking about it is cool. So but yeah, you got to, when you start doing stuff, cater to everybody, not just one person, and like I said, about reviews and all that stuff, I was telling Beth the other day, when you argue with a Spanish woman, the difference between her and American woman gets crazy and hysterical. A Spanish woman gets historical on you, man. They start telling you all the bad things you've done for the last 10 years. So we get everybody talks. So, spread the word around, get it out there. We're involved in the Spanish market, and
the long and short of it is the smallest effort, just putting a box on your website that says hablamos español, but buying a couple of Spanish keywords, either teaching some guy to say a couple Spanish words or hiring somebody in Spanish, doing these small things when nobody else is doing anything is going to be a big step in the right direction. So, let's take some baby steps. Let's make a little bit of an effort. But, you saw the population statistics. It's only going to grow. You can pretend like it's not, but it is. So it's just kind of the right time to make a small move and get that first mover advantage.
And everybody knows millennials, right? That's what everybody's talking about. Well, next time you think about that, think Latinos.
Right, because the majority of them are.
The majorities are Latinos.
Okay, so, just recently in the last 3 years, Hispanic births have eclipsed immigration as the growth driver. So now it's really the higher birth rate of Hispanics in this world. So currently now, I would say that we're talking about the second generation of Hispanics. Many have been here, many people's parents have been here for 20 years, and a lot of them actually have a lot of credit. And then the second generation is in the process of establishing their own credit right now, whereas the millennials are going to benefit from that. In Miami, I know the situation is a lot of times, the extended family will come in and it's the abuela that will have the credit. And she will extend her credit for her son or her grandson. It's actually different in every market, I have to be honest with you. And Ricky and I are actually planning a 2.0 version of this presentation where we're actually going to talk about an Argentinian's mindset versus a Colombian versus a Honduran versus a Nicaraguan, because there are some intricacies and nuances there. And it really does matter. Is the Hispanic population in your area surrounding a manufacturing plant? That's going to be a little bit of a different credit situation. In Miami, the majority of the Hispanics are Cuban, and Cubans have wet foot, dry foot, which means if they are, if they get a dry foot on the United States of America, they're citizens. It's a result of what happened with Castro. So in Miami, there's no immigration issue, right? Everybody who comes, who lands on the ground, is an automatic citizen. So Miami has a unique situation, and Ricky and I are available afterwards to talk to you about your specific market and what probably the makeup is and how that would work. I'm getting like
and it's
the
because
wave.
Cubans are special, by the way.
Yes.
That would be me.